In this video, I'll demonstrate how to adjust pitch correction, retune speed, adjust vibrato, and create and tune notes in AutoTune Pro's graphical correction mode. These tools are similar to adjusting pitch center and pitch drift in Melodyne, but the way AutoTune handles these edits is different enough from Melodyne to justify a separate dedicated video on this. So first, I'm already in graph mode, and I'll set my input type to alto tenor. I'll set the key of the song in advance, it's B major. And this is actually really important to set in advance because it affects the accuracy of the pitch detection when you import the audio. I'll click the pitch button here to detect pitch only. I don't necessarily want to detect the rhythm of the vocals because I'm not going to be adjusting the timing of the vocals at all. So I'll skip the pitch and time option.
I said, oh no, I could never part, yeah.
Instead of automatically defining notes like Melodyne, AutoTune defines the pitch drift or pitch curve of the overall vocal performance. So that's what the red line is showing. You'll also notice that the lines in the graph are centered on each pitch. If you want to work with an editor that looks closer to Melodyne or other pitch correction plugins, something that looks more like a piano roll editor, you can go up to Settings, and then go down to Show Lanes in Main Graph. This is the way I generally like to work in AutoTune. AutoTune gives you a lot of options to correct pitch. You can do this with lines and curves, but you can also create notes just like in Melodyne. So what I'll do is click Make Notes, and then click Make Notes from the menu. And what this does is it approximates notes from the red pitch line. Right here, you can adjust the sensitivity of this, and you can add in more notes or reduce the number of notes. Now the thing is, if I set this too high, it'll start to pick up glides and note transitions as individual notes. So I'll just pull this back a bit to just pick up the main pitch center of each note. Now a big difference between AutoTune and Melodyne is that AutoTune has already pitch corrected these notes. The red line shows the original pitch, and the green line is showing the corrected pitch.
I said, oh no, I could never part, yeah.
Also, if that auto-scrolling makes you dizzy like it does for me, you can go up to Settings and you can turn off the auto-scroll. So like with Melodyne, there's a few things that we need to clean up. First, if you press Command A or Control A to select all, or you can just make a selection by dragging over notes with the main pointer tool, the selected notes will be shown in blue. So I'll just hit Command A to select all of these. And what you can do is you can adjust the retune speed up here. So this is exactly the same as the retune speed using AutoTune in auto mode. However, I want to pull this down a bit because I don't want it to sound too robotic sounding. You can also adjust the vibrato here, and you can see this makes more out of the natural vibrato or pitch center in the note, or less out of it, and it centers it better on the pitch. So this is very similar to adjusting the pitch center and pitch drift in Melodyne. AutoTune just goes about this in a bit of a different way.
I said, oh no, I could never part, yeah.
So on this very last note here, you can see that the pitch goes up to B and then sort of drifts down to B flat, much like it did in the previous video. So with the main tool selected, I can grab this note and just manually drag it up to B. I can do the same here as well. And you can see with the green line that the pitch correction has been shifted up as well. Now, because all of this is the same note, a better option might just be to trim this note out to cover the full length of this little waveform here. A big difference between AutoTune and Melodyne is that the notes that are shown here in AutoTune only identify the area of the recording that's being pitch corrected. So if I trim up a note and pull it back a bit like this, it doesn't mean that there's not going to be any sound here in this gap. It just means that audio isn't going to be pitch corrected in this gap. In Melodyne, if I delete a note, the note will no longer sound. So that's a huge difference between these two. So just keep that in mind. So one thing I like to do here is go through and adjust the trim on the in and out points where the pitch correction takes place on each note. I use this to make sure that note transitions sound really natural and really smooth while tuning the main tonal part of each note. At the beginning here, you'll see that AutoTune missed the first two notes here on B. By the way, this part right here is just a breath, so we don't need to do anything with that. So to add more notes, you can use the Draw Note Objects tool to draw these in. So I'll just click and drag on B, and I'll actually overlap this third note as well since it's all the same pitch. All right, now that I've got this all tuned up, let's give this a listen.
I said, oh no, I could never part, yeah.
sounds pretty good. It's a bit strong. The pitch correction's a bit strong. So what I'll do is select all and then roll down the retune speed a bit for a bit more gentle, natural tuning effect.
I said, oh no, 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 I could never part, yeah, yeah.
So those are the tools for basic vocal tuning in Auto-Tune Pro's graphical correction mode.